On a night that Draymond Green kind of lost his temper, not as an official so much, but as a teammate. The Hall of Famer Chris Mullin is here. Darrell Wright, you were exactly right what you said on Warriors Halftime Live, that it was not what he said at the official John Butler. It's what he said at his teammate, the young James Wiseman. And basically what Draymond said was, come on, man, F that, referring to that pass that got swiped by Nerlens Noel. And as they go back, you see Draymond yelling at Wiseman, and Butler tees him up right there. So what's your interpretation of how this went down?
I think, it was the wrong call, in my opinion. This happens, throughout the course of the season when you're trying to throw the ball in the post and, your guy might not seal him, or, it might be a bad pass. So I think it was just the wrong play, the wrong time, and I think the referee thought he was talking to him.
And it looked like Draymond was upset with James Wiseman for not holding off Nerlens Noel. A similar play happened with the Lakers, where Draymond tried to throw the ball to James Wiseman. He didn't catch it. To me, I was always taught it's always the passes. He's in control of what happens. And if the ball's turned over, it's the passer. Right? Yeah, he could have held off and been a little more physical. But again, the leadership, how you speak to your teammates, is as important how you speak to the referees. There's got to be some control there. Yeah. You're still trying to teach this incredibly gifted young player who's going to be a superstar, teach him the NBA game. How that happens on a daily basis is important.
Marquise Chris immediately chimed in. He's hurt, broken leg, bad ankle, watching at home, and he said he wasn't yelling at John Butler, the official. He was yelling at his teammate. But the question is, and he is going to take James Wiseman under his wing, and he's going to teach him defensive rotations, how to play in this league. But there's a lot of tact. Some guys would be spicy with their teammates, maybe Kobe Bryant, maybe Michael Jordan behind closed doors. But you got a 19-year-old, very impressionable young man trying to do the right thing, and to call him out like that. And again, that's not why he got run. He should not have been run. Right. But should he be speaking to his teammates like that in an open gym with microphones around officials and not do it in the closed practice setting?
It's the heat of a moment, but once again, this is a rookie. He's a 19-year-old rookie that played, 3 games before the first 15 games. So he's learning. And a lot of things is going to be, you have to take patience. It takes patience to talk to young players. I was a 19-year-old rookie. I wasn't playing as many minutes, important minutes, as James Wiseman, but it is ways that you can, relay things to your teammates and let them know, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. So it's different ways to express your feelings to your teammates.
At halftime, Darrell and I spoke to Tim Hardaway Sr. He was similar to that. He was very outspoken, very competitive, very fiery. But there's a tact, as you said, to how you approach guys. James Wiseman seems like he's a sponge. He wants all the information, and how that's relayed is important. And everyone has their own style, right? You got to be true to your personality. Steph is very laid back. Draymond's a fiery, competitive guy. And that may be their relationship. I don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
Yeah. How do you think this is handled among the coaching staff? Does Steve say something to Draymond? Yes, we got it wrong. Maybe we should have a mechanism to challenge this and look at this and go back and listen to the audio. Hey, John Butler, he's not yelling at you. Right. He's yelling at his teammate. But why is he yelling at his teammate?
I think
like that?
For sure.
Is that something Steve should bring up to Draymond?
I'm with Darrell. I think it was totally the wrong call by the referee. Draymond Green should not have been ejected. So I think that should be a challengeable call. And I think they could easily they have the audio, as you said. They go to the screen, they go to Secaucus. It was just because we had another play where Bullock missed that layup, and it was an inadvertent whistle. That's really what it was. It was an inadvertent whistle, and they could have changed it.
Yeah. All right, so James Wiseman played on after Draymond got ejected, and we thought, arguably his best game as a young pro last night against LaMarcus Aldridge. We knew it would be difficult, way more difficult tonight against Mitchell Robinson, Darrell, but he played.
Attacking their bodies like we talked about in pregame and trying to finish over top of them. So I think he had a pretty solid game tonight. Another
learning experience after playing against Anthony Davis, Marc Gasol, LaMarcus Aldridge. These two young fellas, as Darrell said, Nerlens Noel and Mitchell Robinson, similar to Wiseman in stature, a very similar style of play. I thought he did a good job. Every night I watch him, I see a lot of positive. I don't really see the negatives with him.
So you lose Draymond Green, and obviously your defense eroded. It wasn't good in the first quarter. It was better in the second quarter. Then in the second half, it fell apart because you don't have Draymond. But he also does so much offensively, sets the high drag, the screen for Steph. They run the offense through him. So Steph's role in the second half changed, and they had to bring Nico Mannion in right away to get in their ball handler to get Steph off the ball in the second half, minus Draymond.
I really thought offensively they were really figuring it out. I thought they were going to, win this game going away in the second half because Steph was playing off the ball, as you said, Pop. Moving beautifully without the basketball, screening, getting layups, hitting three-point shots, getting four-point plays. I thought it was just a matter of time. Draymond was really missed on the defensive end, but he can handle the ball and let all that stuff develop off the ball for Steph. So he was missed as much on the defensive end and on offensive end, Darrell.
Definitely. I think the offense got a little stagnant once that second half started. And guys, we're just looking for Steph instead of being aggressive within the offense. And, on the defensive end, he's the anchor of the defense. He's the guy that's communicating to the guys, telling guys when to get through the screens and, what's coming. So they definitely missed him in that second half.
He wound up with 30 tonight, Mully, and he did make 5 threes. He took 14. It was 5 of 14, but that's fine. He had to score. He knew the situation. They had to make up some points here. So he came into the night needing 8 to tie your former teammate with the Indiana Pacers, the Hall of Famer Reggie Miller. So now, with his 5 tonight, he's 3 away. He could get it Saturday against the Utah Jazz.
Could. Oh, it's happening.
You're calling it flat out here?
Yes, sir.
But you look at those 3 guys, 3 of the greatest shooters of all time. But Steph is so unique because he does it both. He does it off the dribble, off the high pick and roll, and of course he moves so well without the ball the way Ray Allen and Reggie Miller did. Yeah, he'll get it Saturday night, and
you're calling it. It's a lock. He's going to get 3.
He's joined the 2,500 club. Soon he's going to have his own club, like
4K.
Yes.
4K, easy.
And I don't think anyone's getting invited.
No.
Just Steph.
No.
It's his own club.
Although the way they shoot the 3 Steph can put out there so far, I actually thought Klay Thompson, when it was all said and done, may rival Steph, but these last 2 years he's not going to play a single minute due to injury. But the way these guys shoot threes now, is that a record that he could put far enough out there, Darrell, that'll never be broken? Or the way they shoot threes, will somebody get him one day?
I think he can. Like Mully said, he does it different ways. It's not just catch and shoot. It's off the dribble. It's off ISOs. It's off down screen. So he's doing it 100 different ways. And I don't see too many guys out here that's scoring like that. It's a few guys, the Damian Lillards of the world, but Steph, he's just doing it a little bit different. The
numbers he puts up, they're so staggering because of the efficiency. He's so efficient from the three-point line. And now this year he's shooting as much as he has ever in his career. So the number's going to keep on climbing. And they need to. They need him to be like that each and every night to give themselves a chance to win.
Looking ahead to 2055, I wonder if Cannon Curry could break his
He's already got the Euro step.
He's got the Euro step. Kalena was teaching him that the other night. Speaking of Kalena Azubuike, let's head back out to Chase, check in with Bob Fitzgerald and Kalena, their thoughts on tonight's game, Draymond's ejection, and the game in Salt Lake City on Saturday.
Well, the beauty of the NBA is the games come fast and furious, and you turn the page and you move on to the next one. And the Utah Jazz are an elite team. So to go to Utah, and then you're looking at Donovan Mitchell and Conley, Bogdanovich, Gobert. This is a veteran team that has a really interesting style because they're the best three-point shooting team, and that's going to be a big challenge.
Well, they consider themselves a legit championship contender. That's how they think about themselves. And you think about them offensively, really good offensive team. They're also a really good defensive team. The three-point shooting. They run a lot of great stuff to get threes. They'll get into the paint. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell puts a ton of pressure on your defense. So that's where your work is going to be cut out for you.
If the Warriors look at that game, it's a Wiseman-Gobert grow-up game. So you're watching that, but it's also how do you free up Steph? Because Conley's a good defender, Mitchell's a good defender, and so it's the Curry action, but I also want to see Wiseman-Gobert. That's 14 feet of basketball player.
Yeah, we may see some of the stuff we saw in the Spurs game last night where you're seeing Steph set screens, maybe get downhill off the pick and roll, see if you can get Gobert away from the basket,
that makes sense,
away from the basket. A double team, Steph will come off of it. Then you got 4-on-3 if Draymond is going at him. So you got to get a little tricky, a little creative on the offensive side because they're disciplined. They don't beat themselves on the defensive end. Not a ton of mistakes for this Utah Jazz team.
Well, the Warriors have seen contenders. They've played the Clippers well, played the Lakers well, but the Utah Jazz, after that you have the 2 Minnesota games, but Utah on the road, that is one of the tougher challenges in the league. See if the Warriors bounce back not only offensively but defensively after allowing the Knicks 119. That'll be the challenge on Saturday.
As played tonight, we'll show you their highlights coming up a little bit later on, Bob. Nico Mannion, Mully, played only 8 minutes in his career, brief career, coming in as a rookie against Sacramento in a big win. Tonight, because Draymond was out and needed a ball handler before you go to Wanamaker, he played 8 more minutes tonight. He had 4 assists tonight.
Fearless competitor. He's a very good athlete, and he competes. Here he is getting into the paint, dropping off his fellow rookie, James Wiseman. I think he's going to be a really good player. He just needs some experience. Got great court vision.
Yeah, I liked him, in college, and I'm happy that he had the opportunity to get in there early. It's always good when a coach just throws you in there. You're not thinking about it, but that lets you know that Coach Kerr and that coaching staff know that he's been working and he's staying ready. So he had some good minutes, I think, tonight.
All right, speaking of Coach Kerr, we are going to head back to Chase and hear from Steve. Back to Toyota Warriors postgame live. Warriors led very briefly early in the game. Last night they led wire to wire tonight. And New York averages about 100 points a game, so they didn't defend tonight. The Knicks scored 119. Steph Curry had 30. Andrew Wiggins had 17. James Wiseman 15 off the bench. A nice night for Eric Paschall, who had to start the second half after Draymond was ejected. He had 12 points. So the story of the game, obviously, is Draymond's ejection. 64 seconds to go in the first half. He gets run by referee John Butler. Kerr Burke, she's going to ask Steve Kerr the most salient question. Let's get a reaction right now from the head coach.
Kerr Burke, NBC Sports Bay Area. Did the referees give you an explanation for Draymond's second technical?
Yeah, at halftime, Ben Taylor came out and told me that it was a mistake, that he didn't realize that John Butler didn't realize that Draymond was yelling at his teammate. He thought he was yelling at him.
I understand people make mistakes. I'm sure you'd say the same. How did it impact the rest of the game that Draymond couldn't play in the second half?
Well, I mean, obviously, Draymond is, one of our best and most impactful players. So it hurt us, but we were playing very poorly to that point anyway. So I'm not going to talk about the officiating. I'm going to talk about our poor play. We just foul constantly. You can't win. We're dead last in the league in fouls, I think, and free throw attempts allowed. And you can't win games when you just foul. You're constantly having to bring the ball up out of the net after the team shooting free throws. You can't build any rhythm at all. We had 4 fouls in the first 55 seconds of the fourth quarter. So we are who we are, and I obviously have to do a better job. We're undisciplined, and we've got to find a way to defend without fouling, obviously.
What is the main issue, would you say there? Because like you said, you're trying to build this defensive, habitat, but
right.
Clearly over fouling. What's the problem?
Mindless reaching, mindless decision-making defensively. I mean, we've got a very long and athletic team, and we've got an opportunity to be very good defensively. I've been touting our defense, especially since Draymond came back. But play after play, you got, guards getting into the paint, and, instead of having to shoot a floater over James Wiseman or Draymond Green, we're just hacking guys from behind right across the wrist as if we're going to get a steal or something. So we're just totally undisciplined defensively. Generally, we play hard, and I love our guys' effort. But, I told them the other day that it's hard to win in this league night after night on talent and emotion. You can't count on that. There's going to be nights where you go 9 for 38 from the three-point line. And there's going to be nights when you're tired and you're on the second night of a back-to-back and you don't have the same juice. And so the way to win those games is by executing, taking good shots, having good defensive balance, defending without fouling, rebounding, being solid. So we are not that team yet. So I'm hopeful that we can get there. But right now we are, as I said, dead last in the league in free throws allowed. fouls, rebounds. So we are not a solid team. We can be a good team, but we have a long way to go.
Hi, Steve. Carlos Ramirez. Carlos Ramirez, NBC Bay Area and Telemundo. How can you get a rhythm on a game that has 58 fouls called?
You can't.
Total, I mean.
You can't.
And when you're in the game, do you see? I mean, I'm looking for a parallel. When you're in a baseball game, you see that the ref might have, and the umpire might have a different strike zone. Do you see refs having different foul zones or ways of calling the game, and do you tell that to your players, like, okay, let's have a different approach, or just go out and play?
In baseball, if the ump calls a strike, it's a strike. If he calls a ball, it's a ball. Nobody's reaching. The catcher's not reaching and raking the batter across the arms. We are raking people across the arms. We are grabbing people by the waist coming off screens. We're fouling. It has nothing to do with the refs. It has to do with us. So we practice defensive fundamentals every day, and it's obviously not enough. So I've got to think of some way to get across to these guys, how we're going to defend. And maybe it just means if a guy reaches, he comes out, and forget the defense or the rotation. Just take a few games where if you reach, you come out, and we just have a bunch of guys filing in and out of the game. And if they reach, they come out, and then another guy goes in, and next guy comes out when he reaches. And that's the only thing I can think of, because we practice defense without fouling every day, and it's not happening. So we've got to somehow find a way.
Steve, Kendra Andrews, NBC Sports Bay Area. You were just talking about different tactics to try and improve some of those things. And earlier on in the season, you said you would have to adjust your coaching for this kind of team, a team that's trying to work their way back up in the league. How are those adjustments going for you? Do you think that you need to make more adjustments moving forward?
Yes, the main adjustment I need to make is to get across to the without fouling, or we're not going to be good. So I have to figure out what that adjustment is.
Hi, Steve. When Draymond Green and Steph Curry aren't in the game, who do you look to be the catalyst of your team?
Well, the reason I put Nico Mannion in the game in the third quarter, I was looking for a spark, and he's an excellent passer. And with Draymond out, obviously Steph is going to draw a lot of attention, and I wanted to put another ball handler into the game to get Steph off the ball. But Steph and Draymond are our leaders. And if one of them's out, if both of them's out, it's up to the entire team to pick up the slack and help us execute. But we did not execute. We didn't turn the ball over a ton, 10 turnovers total, which is a really good number. But our shot selection, they must have felt like they blocked about 20 shots. We just kept barreling into the lane, trying to shoot over Robinson and Noel, and our sense of drive and kicking was nowhere near where it needed to be.
Greg Popovich left town after the game.
No, he did not.
Cynical, brutally honest Steve Kerr. We've heard him be honest over the years, but he had a hard assessment. He didn't want to talk about Draymond Green getting ejected from the game. It is what it is. And if you're going to be a good defensive team, Darrell, you can't foul. He made that point repeatedly. And you've got to end the possession by clearing defensive rebounds. This team has not been a good rebounding team all year. And he was hard on his team. That's going to be a heck of a practice before they fly to Salt Lake City if they have one tomorrow.
Yeah, Coach Kerr was not happy right there. And I think the thing that we've been talking about all year is defending without fouling. And they did that tonight. They defended, but they fouled every single time they were in a bad position. You can't beat anybody when you're fouling and putting guys on the free throw line. So they have to be way better in that department. and, you know, just play without fouling. I think they got defeated, too. I'm pretty sure that's why Coach Kerr was a little more upset. They were defeated every time, the body language. And they showed that on their face that, you know, they were mad that the refs called foul, but it's a foul. Like you said, if it's a foul, it's a foul. So he's pissed, though.
Yeah, coming off 2 great wins, trying to build that momentum, I think he sees a missed opportunity, right, to get into some nice rhythm, a nice little short 3-game win streak. And the fouling is what did it. And he said it repeatedly, but the Knicks come in averaging 100 points a game, right? They shoot 34% from the 3. Yeah, they made some threes to start the game. Reggie Bullock got off to a good start, made 3 in a row. But there's a lot of missed shots out there. And that's what the Warriors have been doing. When they've won games, they've got forced turnovers. And when the team struggled to make shots, they got those rebounds, got in the open floor. There was putbacks. And offensively, like he said, if they run you off the 3, you don't have to go all the way in. The Warriors, Steve likes balance. Threes, free throws. The pull-up 2, an open 15-foot is a good shot. The shot that we see Eric Pascal shoot a lot.
Quality shots, no matter where they come from.
Decision-making offensively and defensively went out the window tonight.
Yeah, and you mentioned, Mully, you know, the Knicks are not a great offensive team. They're dead last, averaging 100 points, barely over 100. Our storyline tonight would be the 3-point shooting. And Julius Randle's not a great 3-point shooter. He made 1, but it was Reggie Bullock, as you mentioned. And he's a classic 3-and-D guy, Darrell. Tonight, he D'd up, and he made 4 of 5 beyond the line tonight.
Yeah, Reggie Bullock is a high-level 3-point shooter. I'm glad to see him out there healthy now. I know he battled a few injuries. But, yeah, he looked really good out there, 4 for 5 from 3. And you could tell Julius Randle loves throwing the ball to him because it's like an automatic assist out there.
That skip pass, he was doing it all night in the second half.
Yeah, just finding the defense sleep, and I think he did a good job with finding him. And like I said, he's a high-level shooter.
You got to give the Knicks a lot of credit. They imposed their will on the game, right? They played physical defense, and their offense came around. Yeah, they got a 40-point quarter. I think a lot had to do with being into the bonus real early in that first quarter. But they put up 119, and they played defense the entire night.
That was our storyline. How many points would the New York Knicks score? They averaged dead last in the NBA at 100.6, so we set it at 105. And you're an offensive guy. You went way over. I think this is also, you know, it's not so much who you play, it's when you play them. The Knicks are playing well this week. They were 5-8 to start the year with a 5-game losing streak, but they beat Boston by 30 on Sunday. Came back the next day, beat Orlando in a typical grimy Knick game, and the night they played a terrific game to start the road trip.
I think they've played a lot like the Warriors have, with a sense of urgency. They're trying to fight for each and every win that they can get to try and get into the playoffs. And they're trying to be a defense-first team and let the offense come from their defense.
Yeah, and I think Tom Thibodeau is doing a great job with changing the culture there. So this is not the same New York Knicks team we've been seeing the previous years. They're going out there, they're making it an ugly game, being scrappy, and they're defending at a high level.
They're 8-8. They got a shot to make the playoffs. So the Warriors, big win last night over San Antonio. Monday on the MLK Day, they had a great win against the Los Angeles Lakers. Apparently, Anthony Davis is not quite over that loss. Confidants to share their favorite Kobe Bryant stories. It's available now on Apple and Spotify. What a dark, dark day that was coming up on the one-year anniversary. Lakers did win the championship for Kobe this past year in the bubble. Around the NBA, we take it. 19-point lead loss to the Warriors on Monday. Check out what Anthony Davis had to say about that Warrior game on TNT's postgame show tonight.
We hate losing to.
Man, that was their 4th loss of the year. On Monday, they were 12-4, and they just looked tired. LeBron James looked tired. I'm impressed how much he's playing, how well he's playing so early after the turnaround. They won the NBA championship in the bubble in mid-October, and here they are starting the year in late December and now a month into the season.
Well, it just shows his dedication and work ethic and the way he takes care of his body, what he's doing at 19 years in the league. And I think the mentality, what Anthony Davis just said there, we don't want to lose 2 in a row. So they learned from the loss against the Warriors, went on the road, and beat one of the favorites in the East, the Milwaukee Bucks.
And good teams, they expect to win games that they mark on the calendar and say, we should win this game. So I'm pretty sure the way they lost it to really hurt. You know, the Warriors coming back and how they did it on their home court, that definitely didn't feel good. So, yeah, the Bucks had one coming for them.
It's funny, just as it was the Warriors' best win of the year, from the Lakers standpoint, it was one of the worst losses of the year.
Yeah. Champion is a young Warrior, played on the We Believe Warriors for 7 years in the NBA, played 14 years in the league, and he looks so youthful, had his 40th birthday yesterday. So we chatted him up on Warriors pregame live, and let's pick it up with a question from Darrell Wright to Jay Rich.
Jay Rich, I know the Warrior fans would love to know, what was your favorite all-time dunk wearing a Warriors uniform?
Ooh. In game, that's gonna be hard, man. I had some pretty good ones in game. I think the one over Sean Bradley. I think any dunker out there, ever get a chance to dunk on somebody that big, that tall, you gonna remember that one. That's probably my favorite in-game dunk. But I think anything from my dunk contest, I think those are pretty cool. Some of those dunks, because I never done them before and I never did again after the dunk contest. So some of those dunks are. One time, happened one time only.
What a good guy he is. 40th birthday yesterday. He looks in tremendous shape, Jason Richardson.
Like
what a good Warrior he is. Best dunker in Warrior history. I mean, probably in game, though, the Baron Davis, and he mentioned it over Andre Kirilenko, the AK-47
set down. That's not even close, though. He's definitely the best dunker of all time in Warrior history. One of the best dunkers ever in the history of the NBA.
For sure.
How about your former teammate, Otis Smith? Remember him? He was a pretty good.
He was a good dunker, but not in Jay Rich's category.
Not as good as Jay Rich, and it was good catching up with him pregame. So as we were watching the New York Knicks play tonight and watching them throughout the year, the first thing we both noticed, Molly, right away, why is Julius Randle wearing the great Bernard King's jersey, and why is Bernard King's number 30 not retired in the rafters of the world's most famous arena? But Julius Randle, Bernard is a former NBA scoring champion, a Warrior who became a Knick. But I don't know if he ever had a line like this tonight, Molly. Julius Randle, 16 points, 17 rebounds, 9 assists, and only 2 turnovers. What a game.
Well, if he keeps that up, they're going to have to retire twice. Bernard King's jersey needs to be hanging up in MSG.
Over the Nets.
St. Bernard.
Oh, look at that. St. Bernard.
From Fort Greene Projects in Brooklyn, New York. He needs to be hanging up in the rafters. One of the best of all time. What a scorer he was.
I mean, after the 5 that were on the championships team, Clyde and Pearl, Bill Bradley, DeBusschere, Willis, Patrick Ewing, would he be the next great New York Knick of all time?
Absolutely. But if Julius Randle's putting up 16 points, 17 boards, and 9 assists, I think Bernard's going to rent that number out for a few years.
Yeah, without a doubt. And how much of Julius Randle? He was having a good game, but after Draymond Green left the game in the third quarter, Darrell, he just carved the Warriors up with that skip pass to Bullock.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure his eyes lit up when he seen Draymond go out the game, and he didn't have to deal with that. But just the playmaking skills, I knew he had it in him, but just to see how he's averaging 7 assists throughout the season and getting guys involved and scoring at will, he's a good player. He's a good player. He picked the perfect spot.
I'm really impressed with his playmaking. We knew he could score and rebound, but it looks like he's really focused on getting his teammates involved. He knows he's going to get his shot attempts and his rebounds, really concentrating on the assist.
Yeah, and obviously with Draymond Green getting ejected, miscommunication with the official, John Butler. He was actually yelling at his teammate, James Wiseman. Warriors were down just 5 at that point at 60-55. So we are going to bring Kerr Burke in to check out Warriors postgame live. And it's great to see you, Kerr, through Zoom. We have missed you, our first time on Warriors postgame live. So when Steve was meeting the media, we were kidding that Greg Popovich left town, but that sounded a lot like Greg Popovich. Caustic, biting, extremely accurate, I think, assessment of his team. That he was trying to say that, some of the fouls shouldn't have been called, but he called his team out in 2 main categories: fouling way too much and not rebounding well. He was hard on his team tonight.
He was. This really felt like public shots fired, that everything that he just told the team in the locker room, he was now telling the media. So if players are looking on social media tomorrow or reading stories about the game, they have to see it a second time. And the words that stuck out to me tonight were undisciplined on defense. He was talking about the reaching and the hacking. And then I think the quote from Steve that's going to get a lot of play tomorrow is this one: "We're not a good team. We're 8-7. We're a mediocre team." Mediocre stings. And he's talking about how on defense is basically a decision, right? You have to decide to play with intensity. You have to decide to play with focus. The team didn't have that tonight. And Steve essentially said 13 players came into this game because it was punitive. If you reached, he would take them right out, and then he just had to rotate guys, and they couldn't find anything on defense. And Andrew Wiggins kind of explained, we weren't the team that we were yesterday, and the Warriors played their best game of the season on both sides of the ball against the Spurs. So 24 hours later, you see a change this big. Yes, Draymond was ejected. Yes, this is the second game of a back-to-back, but you are in control of your own energy, and I feel like the team has a lot of reasons to feel pretty dejected right now, and they're going to have to listen to these words from their coach until the very next game.
Well, they are going to fly to Salt Lake City. Thank you, Kareth, by the way. Good to talk to you again, even though we're doing it via Zoom. Good to see you. I don't know if they're going to do anything before they fly to Salt Lake City. And the start time of Saturday's game got pushed back for a night game. It was going to be 2 o'clock. Now it's 6 o'clock. So you could get something. Do you think they'll have a film session where he follows up, at least? Maybe not anything on the floor, Mully, but you sting your team like this, you got to address them before you even board that flight tomorrow, don't you?
Absolutely. I think tomorrow is get some shots up, break a little sweat, but more a mental day. And you have to see what coach is talking about. And a lot of times players think they're doing one thing and they're doing another. So you need to see it, be accountable for it, and most importantly, change it for the game Saturday in Utah.
And I think he's doing the reverse psychology again, just making sure these guys aren't getting comfortable. Yeah, you guys just come off 2 good wins, but we're not that team to be able to spot teams' points and have the same firepower to erase a 15-point lead in 1 quarter. So he has to keep these guys honest and keep them, humble and hungry to work and get better. So I like the approach to the team.
I don't know what the headline's going to be tomorrow. Kerr rips Warriors, or Draymond gets ejected, not for yelling at the official, but yelling at James Wiseman. And we didn't took the audio up, but it was, come on, man, come on, man. So it was a very interesting exchange between Draymond and the rookie. Let's hear from James Wiseman. We get reaction right now.
What's going on, James? CJ Peterson, San Francisco Examiner. Can you kind of describe, from your perspective, what happened on Draymond's second technical that resulted in his ejection?
Yeah, CJ, really just because I was trying to get a post up, but he threw it too early. And just one of those moments to where, he was catch the ball or something like that. But, yeah, that's all really. I don't understand that situation and, why the ref did that. But, I guess that's basketball, but I don't really know. I was confused myself as well. So, it's not no big deal at all.
Hi, James. Janie McCauley from AP. Steve said they did acknowledge their mistake at halftime. You're still without Draymond for the rest of the game, but does it show it's a human game sometimes? And he thought that Draymond was yelling at him.
Yes, Jenny. Really just the same thing that happens in game basketball. We just communicate. The chemistry was there. I kind of messed up on the play, and we was kind of out of sync, me and Draymond was, and just how mistakes happen. And then I don't know why the ref did that though. He thought that he was probably talking to one of the other teammates, but he was talking to me. But I don't know. I'm confused myself. Yeah, that was kind of weird. That was a weird moment, to be honest.
Steve seemed pretty upset with what he described as a lack of discipline defensively, particularly reaching in and not attacking guys going straight up, but more reaching into the ball. How do you think you guys can fix some of those issues and kind of get back to a disciplined nature?
I say just work on our perimeter development, because in the back, I'm going to be talking and just guiding everybody to where they need to get to. So I'm going to make sure I take care of my part. But really we just got to just keep building that chemistry in practice. And it's going to take some time, but it's literally right there. It's an easy fix. So we just got to just talk, make sure we communicate, and we'll get better at it. Just simple as that. Yeah.
He's had quite the week, from Anthony Davis, LaMarcus Aldridge. Tonight he gets the underrated Mitchell Robinson, and now he gets a former NBA Defensive Player of the Year, and Rudy Gobert, and the Spider-Man. Utah played